only have a couple things on the agenda today. All three of those were going to be for Craig to go over. And one of the things I want to let everyone know is that the purpose of these meetings is to keep the commissioners abreast of the changes or issues that are upcoming that we need to be aware of prior to the meetings. But a lot of it has to do with what the commissioners are asking that they want to hear about. So as you can see, we have very few things on the agenda today. And if there aren't issues that the commissioners are interested in doing on an ongoing basis, then I'm not going to continue these biweekly meetings. So I know we all have other things to do, and we can do meetings as it would arise. So just as a heads up in that area. So Craig, if you're ready to go, we're ready to have you on.
Chairman, I think he's still hopping in. I just got off the phone with him. Do you want me to call roll real quick
Sure.
while he hopefully gets in on that? Commissioner Curran. I don't see her. Commissioner Doherty. Let's see him. Commissioner Floyd.
Here.
Commissioner Japong Porter. Commissioner, I see her, but we can't hear her.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, Commissioner Curran's here. Commissioner Miletus sounds like is here.
Sure.
Commissioner Japong Porter, I see you. Well, I can't hear you, but I do see you. And Chair Raval.
Here.
Okay. I am going to see if I could just. Oh, Chairman, it looks like Commissioner Doherty just joined. Adam, would you mind allowing his microphone and camera, because it's again not giving me the option to fix his mic.
Sure. Whoops. One moment.
Thank you. And it looks like Director Prince is in as well.
Hi, sorry about I was trying to get in on the phone, but looks like we're gonna do. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Marvin, I'm here for you.
Okay, it's all yours.
So I don't have much to update. I wanted to give a couple of updates. Rosie is at a conference. So the main thing I wanted to update is on the legislative process. What can I say about that other than it is still unclear whether the Senate will establish a quorum for floor votes. And, you know, you hear different things that they might be coming back or they might not. And so just wanted to let you all know what that means is if they don't come back, then we will be working under what's called a continuing resolution. It would mean that we would work under our current budget until September 15th. And we would, you know, if you think about all the work we did on our budget, we wouldn't have the House Bill 3308, the alcohol policy bill, as far as, you know, regulating alcohol at the door, to delivery to the door. That would come with positions for us. We wouldn't have any of our policy option packages, say like we wouldn't have the lab testing or any of those things. But I just wanted to make clear that we have a contingency plan that we would be working under our current biennium budget until September 15th. And so just wanted to make sure and see if anybody had any questions about that. That's the main legislative update. And then while that's in place, where the Senate is not doing floor votes to pass legislation through the Senate, the committees are still working. And so the committees are setting things up. So many of the bills that we've talked about are moving through the process in case they come back. And so that's kind of the dynamic is we're ready for either scenario.
Craig, hearing that, and thank you.
Yep.
That scenario does not interfere with our continued movement with the warehouse and the money available.
That's correct.
Okay.
So I'm so thankful, Chair. That's good that you raised that. So thankful that the bonding and the borrowing to move forward on the warehouse was done in the 21 and 22 session, which means we are moving forward all the way wide open on getting the warehouse construction done. I actually was at the construction site last week with Shannon Ryan, who you've all met now, and also our owner's representative, and was able to walk through the distributor next door, as many of you guys have. And so, yes, we're able to move forward. The only hitch would be some of the moving expenses that would be incurred at the end of the biennium. If we were exactly on time, and it's very likely that some of those would have been pushed into July of 2025 anyway. So we are moving forward very much so with the warehouse build. And what that means specifically is a bunch of lawyers are hammering out the details of the contract with J.E. Dunn. Unfortunately, that's been the update for the last two commission meetings, and that is where we are right now. But Shannon and I are available and making sure that we want DAS and DOJ to prioritize getting that contract done. But that's a great point, Marvin. We move forward with the warehouse build.
Craig, could you talk a little bit for the rest of the commissioners who weren't in Florida about Shannon and the NGO and the warehouse and the importance of that and the help that we offered?
Yep, exactly. So important for me to get out to NABCA. I was able to meet many of the distilled spirits suppliers, and I think the consistent questions were about the 50-cent surcharge or the additional 50-cent surcharge and the warehouse. Obviously, or I guess the interest of the suppliers is we have so many more SKUs now, and we have product that we need to move efficiently through the system. And they very much were asking about the warehouse. And so it was great to be able to introduce them to Shannon Ryan, because she is in charge of and is our partner in the Department of Administrative Services, was our partner on the purchase of the land, and will be our partner on the build of the warehouse, and will be our partner on the conveyor belts and the IT systems that will be necessary to make this new modern system work. So Shannon came to Orlando. On a funny note, she and Matt and I all got delayed getting to Orlando due to thunderstorms. Matt and I had to go to Miami for the first night. Shannon got in to Orlando at 3 a.m. rather than the evening before. But it was great to get Shannon there, and she's going to be our partner while I'm recruiting for the distilled spirits director position. She'll just be key to have in place. And so that's kind of the key dynamic that I saw there. So the warehouse is moving forward, and I think our suppliers were keenly interested in hearing that.
I think it's important to note for everyone that even through the changes that we've gone through and we're still moving forward, is that no one at the organization has ever built a $200 million building.
Right.
Never. As opposed to Shannon just got finished building a $200 million operation, and is something that is fantastic. You know, I'm always amazed when I find either CPAs or real estate people who have a sense of humor. It's like, that's okay. And she was very animated when talking with all of the states about digging dirt. So we have an organization that's going to help take the lead. We can continue to do all the other things that we're doing without having to worry about, you know, where's the next light switch is supposed to go in the building. Yeah. So it is fantastic to have Dask and Shannon and her team. We're all giggly and wiggly about this process. So we're in good hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Questions from anyone about NABCA or the building?
A lot of confidence in Shannon. She did great, and she'll do great. And yeah, it was good. We all got back there. So I think we're in good hands. And you know, we got a lot of people supporting us both back NABCA and you know that have built similar facilities. I mean, literally next door. And so we've got we got a lot of strong partners.
Yeah, it's a great deal of enthusiasm from all of the NABCA partners, as well as from Shannon. I think she came there a little bit curious, and now she's just lit up about this opportunity, which I appreciate her enthusiasm. But we've got several people in the NABCA network that are either have completed warehouses or beginning to put warehouses or halfway through warehouses, that they're eager to share that information with us and what the pitfalls are and what the benefits are. So all good signs thus far. I would ask how, aren't we doing an inventory at the warehouse, and how is that going, or what is that process looking like?
Yeah, great question. Nathan, I don't think I have an update. I think we're right in the middle of it, Dennis. So we can you know, by Thursday I should have more of a sense. Nathan, I don't know if you have anything.
Nothing additional, just like you said, it's in process.
Yeah, they're right in the middle of it, Dennis. So we should have an update on Thursday at the commission meeting, see how it's going.
Okay, I'm curious about how IT is responding, or how we're being able to handle that, and what the new world's going to look like, what we're shooting for. So
yeah, you know, I think that one of the other things that you know, we talked about the warehouse. One of the other things that Dennis, sometimes that new world of getting a modern warehouse system, and you know, it just feels like 2 years feels like a long ways away right now. And so we're going to see how it goes in this inventory. And then two significant things I wanted to make sure we talked about a little bit. One is we had a procurement out for the IT modernization processes, and Nathan, maybe you can give an update on some of the decisions we made as far as the IT procurement, and then Scott Emery's advice, and where we're going to go with that. Can you, Nathan,
Sure.
Can you do that update?
Yeah, happy to. So as y'all may remember from you know, the prior leadership, there was a decision point made for essentially our distilled spirits team and our IT team to be the experts that bring together the three different projects that are underneath this IT system. That all went out to bid, and essentially what happened is DAS received all of those bids because they managed the procurement for us, and they said, we don't think we have the right people at the table, so we're not going to pass on, you know, the top scorers to you. And that was from DAS procurement. And so what Scott's been doing, Scott Emery, over the past, you know, few weeks, has been figuring out how to make that procurement stronger, and even and has recommended we change our approach to essentially procuring one vendor to do all of the integration for those three components. I mean, what's changed is we don't have the two experts, you know, in that area that would have provided that integration. So Craig led us through some exercises in exec team to talk it through, look at our assumptions, and essentially we all agreed that we want to go out to bid for that one integrator, and we think that's going to get more people bidding on it. But it does put us in a situation where, we've got a little delay in our procurement timeline. So, the questions that I think, if I were in your all shoes, I'd be asking is, was that going to delay the overall implementation? And the answer right now is, we don't think that it will. There may be a scenario where we build the warehouse and it has to sit empty for 2 to 3 months. We're hoping tops at this point. But we can't even say that for certain. We may actually get the technology installed at the same time and not have a situation where the warehouse is, where we're waiting to make that transition. So at this point, it's just a risk. It's not an issue. It's it's being monitored. And again, DAS thinks that by having the integrator, we'll have more bidders. I mean, if you're a bidder and you know that the agency is doing the integration, but the agency's lost the key staff that would do that integration, you might not want to bid on it, right? And we think that's probably what's happened because of some of the turmoil. But now that we'll have essentially, I call it a prime contractor, doing that work for us, we think more people will feel comfortable doing that. I think it also takes some risk out of the equation for us to not have to carry that load. We're relying on that professional contractor that's done this kind of warehouse integration before. And so that's the plan at this point, is to Colin's team is working on the procurement for that so that we can execute. And once we have them on board, they'll be able to answer those timeline questions around, if there will be a delay. But at this point, we're not even using the word delay because we're moving forward with the warehouse, that the infrastructure will get built. It's just about like the timing of the technology implementation that's a little bit more of a question mark, because we don't know how quickly all those pieces come together.
Does this impact the cost of this overall cost, or how much does it impact getting an integrator rather than doing it in-house?
Yeah, I don't think it. So yeah, good question. I think what would impact the overall cost is if we held open the warehouse build, and every month that we're working on the warehouse, I think would have a cost. Part of this, Dennis, I don't think it would, because what we wanted to be clear-eyed about is, rarely does a construction process go exactly on time, right? And for example, as we're already the fact that we had a protest on the contract with the general contractor, and now we're negotiating, that itself has caused a little bit of slippage on the timeline. So what we thought is, it's better to move forward while we're moving dirt in dry weather and get that thing completed than to have an extended time on the contract and slow it down. And so the only costs I can foresee that you're going to be the avoided revenues of if we have a couple of months delay. I think that's we don't know if we will have that. And then let's say everything just goes on time with the general contractor, and our conveyor belt and IT system still need time to get functional and get our move over to the new warehouse. Jeff Samley brought up, we could have a situation where we'd have to make sure we have, the maintenance crew is on site at the new facility for a few months, make sure we have security there on site, those type of costs. I think the main cost of any delay is, we all know that once we get this, we get more SKUs in there, we get more SKUs coming out more efficiently. We're pretty confident that that's going to increase the revenues, and it's really that's really probably the cost, is the loss of those revenues from the increased sales.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
One of the things that excites me about that scenario, Dennis, is that Virginia talked a lot about what we need to be aware of to make a delay.
Yeah.
And having current information from at least 2 states who have just completed their process will help us in at least bringing that up and not being surprised about that scenario. And so they were very honest and very upfront. Don't do this, do this. To Nathan's point, having one vendor do everything opened up, golly, the opportunity to more people, because they just said it's not worth my time to piecemeal this. So that's a good thing that we're going to do, in my mind. And looking at what Virginia and I believe it was Iowa has done with their new warehouses. So yeah, cool.
Maybe it'll save us.
And don't buy cheap pallets.
Exactly. Yeah. And order pallets now.
And order now.
Yeah.
And then the so I think just to close out then what we learned last week, so the last 2 weeks. So, the one decision was made for us by DAS procurement. There were not viable vendors in the way we had bid it. And so Scott Emery is working to make it one prime, as Nathan said. They'll be the integrator of these systems. There's pros and cons to that. The cons are it'll be less customizable, and it won't be as you'll do step 1, then step 2, step 3. Scott has a scary term for this. He calls it's a big bang. You do it all at once. That's what makes it more difficult. The plus is it's lower risk when you're trying to integrate a vanilla system. We would be much more probably going to have a vanilla system that's off the shelf is probably what's going to be seen. And it'll be less customized. That'll have more impact on our staff. They'll have to learn how to grow and change to the system more than have the system customized to them. So the backdrop also is, without a distilled spirits director, and by the way, that's out for recruitment. Worked with NABCA while I was there to make sure it got out through the NABCA websites. I've worked internally in the state. I've had some people interested in that. I've had people come to the warehouse that I know throughout state government. So that distilled spirits director position is open. But the CIO position, I wanted to let you know that we did an internal recruitment, and we went ahead and said and made the difficult decision to say, you know what, our CIO for the future is not in this recruitment. That's always a hard decision. I think most people would say that's one of those ones. If you think that's the situation, it's better to make that decision up front than to realize it in 6 months. And so the update on that is we're going to shift on that to doing external headhunter or an external recruiter, a proactive recruiter. That also has to go through procurement. And so I'm working with DAS and Colin and our HR to get that recruitment out. So, I was hoping we had the CIO for the future in the previous recruitment. We just didn't feel we had that person. So these are all, as we talked about, all of these personnel matters I'm working on for you as your executive director, but it's super important. I want to keep you guys aware of where we are on these big decisions and let you know where those are, because it all goes together with getting this modernized warehouse and system in place.
Great.
You're doing good.
Next.
The only other issue I had, and Dennis, I think you on the call, as we did our meeting with agents, an agents advisory meeting, to kind of go over, resetting our relationship with the liquor store agents. Before COVID, there was an ongoing, meeting, and we're going to do a monthly meeting with the liquor agents. We went over the vendor allocated policy for employees and commissioners that you all voted in last meeting, and heard from the agent they'd like to focus on. And Dennis was on that call. I'd love to get Dennis's perspective. But I think I said twice in the meeting, look, folks, these are not normal times. We're in a transitory transition period. And I need to rather than have the normal, like, agents tell us your problems and we'll try to fix them. I told them that I felt that setting how to deal with the rare and vendor allocated spirits in the liquor stores themselves was going to be critical for restoring understanding and clear rules on that, how to make those available to our licensees, our restaurants, to our citizens, to the chance to purchase. We're setting ongoing monthly meetings. Laura set the next one. Lora, I think it's, if you could give the date, but we're going to be focusing on that issue, and then making sure that we're meeting our cadence of when they get their payments. There's been some concern about delays on getting them their payments, and then also on their end of year reconciliation to make sure that we're getting them paid on time and appropriately. So that's the other thing, is we have that process moving. Laura, maybe you can make sure I've got the date right. And then Dennis, if you want to give any feedback from that first meeting.
The next meeting is June 27th from 2 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right on in what you taking the reins and deciding what's going to go on there. There, number one, after the meeting, I called a couple of the agents, and they were pleased about the meeting, particularly pleased that they're going to be meeting on a monthly basis. I think they just want to be seen and heard and know that we understand what their issues are. And secondly, what I reassured them is, and what they needed to do was to consider this a team effort by all of us. We're all partners in this, rather than us being the big dogs in the room and shoving anything down their throats, so to speak. So there's been enthusiasm, and a significant pressure was taken off by letting them know that surcharge is off the table. They had significant relief in that. So I think we're from what I can feel, and from that meeting, Salim was pretty active in that meeting, but I think it's going well, and they're enthusiastic about this partnership. But we got to set the tone, help set that tone for partnership in this.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that we all need to be aware of is that it was very issue as it relates to the hard to liquors that are out there. These liquor companies do this to everybody in the country as far as what they'll sell in a controlled state model. And then all the states, jurisdictions, and states have the same issue on how to make this product available to the general public. They're all trying to work with that, either through lotteries or holding things out. And when we have a system where the restaurants put their orders in, and they, our stores know they're going to be able to sell this product and do so, and that's going to be an ongoing issue. So it's got to be a team approach in that. But it's important for all of you to know that we are not alone in that issue. I look at it from a business perspective, not a government perspective. If I only make so much and I can sell it for this amount of money, and if I have this many controlled states and jurisdictions who won't give me the price I want because they're only going to give me so much, I'm going to hold on that because I need to make, that's just business. And people can either not like that or say that we're trying to do something nefarious. We're not. we only get so much that we can then put through the markets. And then if just from a consumer standpoint, if I've got one of the large restaurants and I'm selling these things at $50 a serving, I'm going to put my request in, and that liquor store is going to say, hey, you know what? I've got this on the shelf. I've got somebody that I know that's going to buy it, and they buy it. There we are. So it is a business model, and we're not the only one that's trying to figure out how to work with the manufacturers and the general population. This is going to be an ongoing thing.
I think, I just say one thing on it. I just want it to be fair and transparent. I mean, like, whatever people want to submit something, that's fine. People want to do, like, we just, the thing that's frustrated with me, and I got drug into it, is, you know, you submit it to the appropriate place, and if there's a process and it's transparent, that's what it should be. Like, that's the way I look at it. And so I don't know how we're gonna kind of split that, but from our perspective as OLCC, I just want to be sure that we are, you know, there's only so much we can do in terms of getting the allocated spirits, because that comes from the distributor and the distiller. But in terms of our handling it at OLCC, it just got to be fair and transparent is my only thought.
Right,
Yeah.
and the stores have to be willing to say, you know, oh, if you've got it and it's in the system that you've got it and you're telling people you don't have it, that's not going to work. I mean,
Exactly.
if you know, Jane Blow walks in and says, hey, I want this, and it's in the system that you have it and you're holding on to it because you want to do somebody, that's not going to fly anymore. It is that consumer has every bit of right to purchase that as Marvin's expensive restaurant.
Yeah. Salim suggested, and I haven't gone through the logistics on this, that we allow those certain liquors to go at whatever the market will bear. And we've got a 2-tier system now that's, you know, anything with $79 and below is going to be at this price, and then above $79, whatever that is. Maybe there's a tier for extremely expensive ones. Again, I'm not inside, so I don't know if this makes any sense at all, that they, you know, it's going to be, they set it for whatever the market will bear, and they've got a space in their liquor store where they're locked up and people let the market decide.
And so, yeah, there was some thought around giving any excess to charity, but I want to be sure whatever we do on that, if we do that, anything like that, that's where it's got to be, because that's going to be where the biggest controversy is those hard to find things. And if people feel like they're left out of it, that's where they're going to get frustrated. So I think whatever we do, we should try to get the greatest benefit to everybody. But yeah, that's going to be a tricky one, and it'll be definitely long.
It is. Yeah. So it's definitely tricky, and we'll try to hear from everyone. And our plan is Rich. Rich did the first policy. I thought he did a great job on the first policy, and Rich is working with NABCA and seeing what the other states do. As the chair said, everyone's got to figure this out, right? And so we're going to look at, you know, state A, state B, state C. Here's how the different ones do it, and make a have a proposal for y'all to take a look at. That would have to then, you know, go into the owner's manual and be reviewed, and yeah, you know, so there's several different options, is what Rich told me, that we can look at from different states. And then, you know, like Salim and others had mentioned, you know, raising the price. And then what we're going to do at these advisory meetings is Laura's using we do have a listserv for all of the agents. We are going to try to use that listserv so that we have some way to survey and hear from, or have an opportunity to hear from, all of the agents on this. And we certainly will have an opportunity for a commission meeting to discuss it. And as Matt said, there's just several interests that we want to have them heard, and then have a really clear path is probably the, you know, not everyone's going to be happy, but we want to make sure there's clarity and everyone understands the goals and the rules. So that's the other one that's we'll be working on.
Good. Yeah, no, if Rich is on it, I'm sure it'll come out good. So I'm good with that. That sounds great.
And it's important to notice that we're going to be equitable. I don't use the term fair. We're going to be equitable to the consumer, to the industry, to the restaurants, to the stores. We'll be equitable and we'll be transparent. All right, anything else for the good of the order? Well, having said that, I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. We won't be there until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Jennifer. So you'll be able to get out sooner than that.
Yay. Hey.
And thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
y'all. Good job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
See you on
Bye.
Thursday. Thank you. Bye-bye now.